Hi guys, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. So it's finally time for the tutorial on how I made the ephemera folder in my design team project for My Porch Prints. And yeah, so I have done a lot of pre-work, but I will warn you now, I will have to cut parts out while I ink and that kind of thing because I did not ink ahead of time, but I won't make you watch all the inking because I know that can be kind of boring. So yeah, I've done all the cutting though, I think, I hope, we'll see. And I also printed out pictures because my dear friend Lisa bought this and yeah, I kind of forgot what I had done. Now, because this is, because I'm doing this on camera, I'm not going to sew. The original one, I did sew, around all of the pieces, but I'm probably not going to do that this time, just because my sewing machine is on the other side of the room, sort of, and it's just too difficult to do that and to film. So yeah, that is my plan. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, so I think it's nice to kind of see how it can be done if you don't have a sewing machine or if you don't like to sew. It can be done without. You don't have to sew. I definitely don't have to sew. All right, so let's get started. Let me show you first what I did. I started with the original one that I did, I had two vintage file folders that were like a gorgeous brown color, as you can see here in the picture. I used them and I don't have any more. It's so sad. I need to find more because I love the color and they were a little bit thicker, but these will do just fine. And these are easy to get. As you can see, I used to crochet and I kept all of my patterns in, file folders, which has come in handy now because I can use them for crafting. And I've kept them all. So they all have, labels of what pattern was in them. But that doesn't matter because you usually cut that part of it off anyway. So you need two file folders. Just standard size. They don't have to be anything fancy. You're going to cover them with paper anyway, so don't worry about that. The first one, let me I put all my papers with the pieces, and I'm trying to keep everything together here. All right, so for the outside of the folder, let me take these bits off here. What I did was, sorry. All right, so what I did was you have the folder, right? And I cut it down to the width that I wanted my folder to be, when it's finished. So in this case, you start out with, a folder that is, I don't know, it's approximately 9 inches across if you don't count this little bit. If you don't count this whole bit here, it's closer to 7.5. So I cut it down to 6 inches, okay? And then I didn't cut anything, off of the length, or I guess it was originally the width, and it started out at a little over 11.5, about 11 and almost 3/4. Okay, but I didn't cut anything off of that because I wanted to be able to fold it up and have pockets on the inside. So what I did was I scored at 3.5 inches, okay, on my scoreboard, and I just folded it up, okay? Does that make sense so far? So basically you start off with your folder, just leave the natural fold in it, cut it to 6 inches or whatever size you want yours to be, and then fold up the bottom so that you have pockets the size that you want them to be. I just happen to make them 3.5 inches, which makes my height about 8¼ inches for the outside of my folder. Okay, so far so good? So far so good. Yeah, that was correct. Okay. All right, so let me set that aside. And then for your second folder, what you want to do is, all right, so here's what you end up with, right? So that outer part was 8¼ by 6 inches. You want your inside piece to be a tad smaller. So I just cut it down to 5¾ looks like, approximately. And then it is 8 1/8 tall. Okay, so, and you don't want, I don't care about having pockets on this one because I'm going to add other things to it, and you'll see that as we go through this. But basically you just want this to be able to fit inside your outer cover, right, without it sticking out top and bottom and side. Okay, so that's what you do with your file folders. Now for the paper, you can use whatever you want. For the one I did for, Stephanie at My Porch Prints, obviously I used her kits. This time I'm just using some scrapbook paper that I happen to have, and I got this at Tuesday morning. It's been a while. It's called Pretty Things by Juliana, I guess that's Neep. I have no idea. And it is by My Mind's Eye, and it actually has 2018 on it. I will see if I can find it on Amazon. And if so, there'll be a link in the description box along with all of my other favorite things. And you can check it out if you're interested. I have no idea if it's still available until, I'll check after I film. But anyway, I like this paper pad. It has some pretty neat, like vintagey, I don't know if it's yeah, I mean it is, and florals and things of that nature, distressed wood and things like that, receipts and, all kinds of neat stuff in it. So that's what I'm using. You can use whatever you'd like. And now it's time to start. I'm just trying to decide where to start. Okay, I think we're gonna start with the actual outer folder here. Okay, we'll start with this. So the very first thing you want to do, because otherwise I would definitely do this first. Okay, so after you have cut down your folder and folded up your pockets, okay, you want to take out some of this bulk here, okay, because it's going to make it very difficult to fold your folder. Do you see what happens if you don't, it doesn't lay flat, okay, because there's just too much going on in that middle. So very simple. I don't do anything fancy. I just grab a pair of scissors if I can. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. That was probably really loud. So you have your natural, you have your fold line here. Can you see that? All right. And then you have your fold line here. So I just make a cut and I start wide and I just come into where those two folds meet. Okay. So can you see kind of what I did there? And then I just try and do the same thing on the other side, but it's never going to be exact, at least not when I do it. So now we have this going on. Okay, do you see how it's like a triangle piece cut right from the middle? And then you just cut right where it meets there. And I might have messed that up a little bit because I was not paying attention. But then you have a nice space there to be able to fold it. And then as you can see, it lays nice and flat now. No weird bulges or anything. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so we've done that. Okay, and then what I did for mine is I used this handy We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. It's the stub and scallop one, and that is down in my description box. There's a link to Amazon for that, for this. I used the scallop edge, and I'm looking at my pictures just to make sure that I don't, okay, actually on the outside I did not use that. I just rounded my corners. So I'm just going to use my regular corner rounder and round, and I even rounded down here at the pocket, okay? And then on this side and here. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink up my folder, okay? And then I will be right back. Okay, so I have my outer folder all inked up, and I just used Distress Oxide Gathered Twigs. It's just my current favorite, so it's the one that's out on my desk. And I just, you know, went around all the outside of the folder. Okay. Oh, and I did go ahead and use the scallop punch on the outer corner of the pocket. You can't use it on the inner corners because they're not a 90-degree angle anymore. So what I did was I just I used my corner punch or corner rounder, and then just kind of eyeballed how to, you know, kind of round that a little bit. So they're not perfectly rounded, but it just kind of makes it look a little more finished. But you can do, you know, you can do that, you can not do that. It's totally up to you. Okay, now that we have this done, we will start with our front and our back covers. Okay, so I have cut these down so that they're just a little bit smaller than my file folder piece. So it is 5 3/4 wide by about 8 1/8 tall. Okay, so you get a little bit of border, and this is going to be my front. You get a little bit of border around the whole thing. Now, what I did on the other one, I went ahead and used the scallop on all the corners on the front and the back papers, because I just thought it looked nice. If you don't have this punch, you can just round the corners. You can leave them, you know, you can just leave them square. You can use a different corner punch. Whatever you have is fine. So yeah, I just did this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and ink these up. And actually, before I do that, okay, so this will be my front and my back pieces. Now that I'm looking at this, does this go this way? Yeah, I think it does. Okay, so these will be my front and my back. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my inside pieces. Now these are also 5 3/4 across, but they are a tad shorter because you're not going to see inside that pocket. So I think they're like 7 7/8, just so that I didn't have to, I don't know, I just cut them down so it was easier. I'm going to go ahead and scallop punch these and ink these up and ink up the outside ones, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have all of that inked up, and all of my corners are chomped. And now I'm just gonna glue these pieces where they go. As you can see, I didn't bother rounding or chomping the corners on the part, the part that goes down inside the pocket. Not necessary. All right, so I'm gonna use Fabri-Tac, And I'm trying to decide if I want to do a different closure on this one than I did on the other one. I was thinking I might do one, you know, but I think, you know what, I think I'm just gonna do the same thing. All right, so just gonna use some Fabri-Tac, and I will go ahead and glue everything that I've done so far, front, back, and the insides behind the pockets, and then I will be right back. Okay, so now that you've done all of that, I have everything glued on those parts. Okay, now we can work on our pockets. And I have already cut pieces. I think these are the pieces. Yep. Okay, and I cut them to 5 3/4, which might be, I think it might be okay, because I'm going to go ahead and round the bottoms and scallop the tops of each of those. I hope everyone's having a good day. It's yeah, it's fine here, I guess. It's raining again. I feel like I always complain about that, so I'm gonna try not to. Our yard, though, oh, it's a hot mess. Okay, so I think that's gonna be fine. I think that's gonna be fine. So then you just want to glue, or well, I need to ink these. So if you're inking, you'll do that next, and glue those down, and then I'll come back and we'll glue our pockets in place. All right, just a second. Okay, so I've got that all inked. I've got those mats glued on there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and glue my pockets in place. So I'm just gonna add glue on each side here. All right, now that we have that done, we can go ahead and in mine, I had a pocket here as well, and I have already cut down the pieces for that. So this piece here is, let me just double check. I'm pretty sure it's 5 3/4. Yep, by 3, yes. And then let me find my picture here so I can try and do it the same. Okay, yep. What I did was I rounded the bottom just with a regular corner rounder, and then I scalloped the top again. And then I did the same thing for my mat piece, and I try to figure out which way is up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So rounded the bottom and scallop the top. And again, this is just cut slightly smaller than, you know, the actual pocket. I think it was, so the pocket was 5 3/4. This is 5 5/8. And then the pocket is 3, and this is, let's see, 2 7/8 approximately. So it'll fit on there pretty nice without a whole lot of the file folder showing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ink around both of those. I'm gonna glue the mat to the pocket, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that that is finished, we can decide where we want this pocket to go. And I'm just gonna put it kind of right here. So I'm just gonna add glue right along, you know, the 3 edges and leave the top open. Okay, so that is all glued down, and we have a nice little pocket there, we have a pocket here, and we have a pocket here. Now I will say, I did say I sewed around, let me show you. So I sewed around the top and the sides and the bottom, and that helped to hold, you know, my pocket in place and the edges of the paper. I will say it was rather tricky to do this because this is rather wide, and my sewing machine, you know, you only have a certain amount of space. I had to like really finagle it in that space to try and, you know, sew around. So honestly, gluing is much easier, but if you are, you know, up for an adventure and you would like to sew this, this is the point where I would sew around, you know, those edges. I would do that now. Okay. And then that pretty much finishes the outer part. Okay. And we're going to move on to the inner part while this dries a tad. Let me find my inner part. I set it out of the way and now I can't find it. Okay, so we have, this is our actual inner piece, right? So let's just start with that. I have all these other bits and pieces here that are, you know, the like pockets and tucks and stuff like that. So let me move those out of the way. And we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so I chose these papers for the outside of this piece, okay? And then I chose these papers for the inside. So what I need to do, it looks like, yep, I scallop punched my corners on this. I can't see. Let's do it this way. There we go. And then this side. And this side. Okay, so that's like that. And so I will need to do that on the matte pieces too. And I actually went all the way, I did every corner on the matte pieces. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I will finish this up. I will ink and I will glue these pieces to here, and I won't make you watch me do that. I'll be right back. Okay, now that you have that done, so everything is inked up and glued down. So this piece, I just want to just double check my pictures here and make sure there's nothing I need to do before. Okay, so this piece goes inside this piece like so, okay? And I am going to 3-hole pamphlet stitch this inside here, okay? So it's sort of a, you know, an extra piece in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and measure so I, you know where I want to poke my holes. And I might go ahead and let you watch me do this part, only because I know sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a refresher. So I'm just lining up my centering ruler, okay? And I know I'm doing it backwards. Let's go ahead and do it correctly. All right, and I know that this is approximately, I think, yeah, the mat, the paper is 8 inches. So I am lining up my 4-inch mark with the top and bottom of that piece of paper I used for my mat. Does that make sense? That way I know where my center is based on that. Of course, I'm way too far away from the crease, so that isn't going to work very well. Okay, so then I know that my center is right here where the 0 is, or, you know, pretty close. And then I'm just going to go 2.5 inches above that and 2.5 inches below that. You can do whatever you want. I don't know, it seemed like good measurements. You still have some space top and bottom, but it'll be nice and secure. Okay, so after you have your marks, you can go ahead. Now, because this is only 2 pages, you know, I mean, it's just two pieces here. I don't feel like I have to get out my binder clips for this. And I honestly don't even feel like I need to worry about much of anything. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm fairly centered top and bottom, because remember, our outside piece is a tad taller than that inside piece. So I'm just making sure, you know, that I'm inside at least. And then I'm going to hold that together, and I'm going to close it as far as I can, and I'm going to put my awl on that center, okay? And then I'm just going to make sure everything is still nice and lined up here. I've got my awl on that center point, and I'm going to close this as much as I can and then poke my hole. And I'm going to do that for all 3 holes. And I'm fairly confident that, you know, I'm okay doing that. If you feel more comfortable getting out your binder clips, by all means. But you can see I made it through, you know, the spine, and it didn't go wonky on me. All right, now I need a needle, and I always use, or try if I can find one. Whoops, no, there, that was good. I use the blunt end needles for this as much as I can, because then I don't feel like I'm gonna tear anything or rip anything with a pointy needle. And then I'm just gonna get about 3 lengths plus. I always get way too much. And I'm just using cotton string for this, because again, it's only going through 2 layers. It's not like, you know, when you're sewing together a signature. This should go through pretty easily. Of course, I have to be able to actually thread my needle. That helps. Oh, come on. Nope, that didn't work. Yikes. Let's try the other end. There we go. All right. And I can't remember. Yep, I did. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to go from the outside in to start, and I'm going to go in that center hole, and hopefully it'll go through both. All right, and then I'll pull that, and I'm going to leave, you know, a decent amount hanging out from, you know, the outside. And then I'm going to go through the bottom hole. Okay. You could do this the opposite, start from the inside out. It depends on where you want to tie your string or whatever you're using. And then we'll go in the top hole. I just kind of like how it looks when you tie the bow on the outside. I don't know. Just sometimes I like to do that. And then we're going to go through the center, trying, making sure we don't catch, you know, any of our other strings. And then you want to be on the other side from the other, you know, from where the other one is. And that's it. And since this is literally 2 pieces, you shouldn't have too much worry. And then I'm just going to kind of pull and, you know, get that nice and snug. First, I'm going to do a square knot, which is you do the right side string over the left side string, and then you go back and do the left side string over top of the right side. And then you have a nice knot. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a bow here. You don't have to do that. And then I'm just going to trim my ends like so. All right. Hopefully, yeah. Okay. I had a moment of panic where I thought, uh-oh, I think I may have put that in upside down, but I did not. It is good. So now we have the base, you know, of our folder pretty much done. This side doesn't get anything else. Here, I used some glassine bag or envelopes. They're not bags. Now the ones I used in the other one were coffee dyed, but I'm all out of those, so it's gonna be these. And I actually added string behind them so that you could tie them shut. So I'm just gonna cut two pieces. They're about the same length. Sorry if my hand was literally in your face. All right, now, the way I did this, we'll attach them here first. So the way I did this is I lay this down on my envelope and make sure that I have enough hanging on either side so that I'll be able to tie it. Okay, and then I'm just going to use Fabri-Tac for this. Just kind of move it out of the way a bit and, you know, try to kind of find the center and just lay down a line of Fabri-Tac there, and then just lay your string right on that. Let that sit for a minute. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I just want to make sure that I have sort of an equal, you know, an equal-ish amount of string on both sides. And then just kind of hold it in place, move it down a little bit, add your glue. And then just lay your string right on there. Okay. And that should hold fairly well. And then move that one out of the way. You don't have to really let it dry because you're just going to glue it down on here anyway. So I just want one on the top and one on the bottom. Now you could, I guess, make these, I don't think, no. You could make these like tuck spots or pockets, you know, as well as an envelope, but I'm not going to do that. I didn't do it on the other one, so I'm not going to do it on this one. So I'm just going to add glue. I want to make sure that I add glue on top of that string, and then I'm just going to add it all over the rest of the back of this envelope. And then I'm just going to glue it down on the front of our inside little pages, if that's the right word. Oops. All right. And make sure that your string stays out of the way. And I'm just gonna, you know, I don't know, just kind of center it and then just gently press that down, because with the glassine, that glue is, you know, it's gonna like try to squirt out everywhere until it's better dried. And then I just press on the string part, make sure everything is sticking pretty well. And then as it dries, you can press a little harder. Looks like my string moved a little bit. It's okay, we can fix that. It's the nice thing about Fabri-Tac, you have a little bit of time to move things around if you aren't happy with where they are. All right. I think that's good. And I don't have a lot of glue seeping out, so that's even better. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie this just so it's out of my way. Just going to make a little bow here, maybe. Come on, hands, you can do it. There we go. All right. And then you can, you know, trim down any extra that you don't want there. All right, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. Just add our glue. With the glassine, if you know, don't go as far to the edge as you would normally with your Fabri-Tac or glue or whatever it is you're using, and then you won't get as much seepage, hopefully. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Honestly, I think it depends on the weather. It depends on how hot or cold it is. In my room anyway, my Fabri-Tac behaves differently under different weather conditions. All right, same thing. I just try and get it equal to the top as, you know, I did on the bottom. So, you know, I've got like a 1/2 inch there, and then I just want to make sure that I kind of have a 1/2 inch at the top and that it's equal, centered in the side, but from the sides too. And just got a little bit of glue there. Another nice thing about Fabri-Tac is if you catch it early, you can usually just rub it right off, depending on what you're sticking to. Depends on, I have better luck with that with some papers than others, but I can at least try, right? All right. All right, so now that those are attached, that page is finished. So let me go ahead and tie this one up. Watching me tie a bow has got to be probably the most infuriating thing ever. I feel like it must be very tedious to watch me try to tie a bow. Oh, it feels tedious. My hands just don't want to do simple tasks. All right, and then we'll just trim that down, and then that page is finished. All right, so then we open it up to the inside here, and on this side I had a belly band that I actually made sort of into like a 2-part belly band. So I added glue at the bottom and at the top and then in the middle so that I could put smaller pieces in here and they would stay. And all I did was round my corners on both pieces. So basically I used some of the leftover file folder and then some of the scrapbook paper. So this is, I believe, 8 inches long, the file folder piece, and 1.5 inches, no, hold on, 1 3/4 inches wide. And then the scrapbook piece is just a little smaller than that, so that you have a bit of a border. If I could, yeah, anyway, you know what I mean. So let me go ahead and round these corners. I'm gonna go ahead and ink both of these pieces, and I will glue the scrapbook paper to the file folder, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that that is glued, you know, you've got everything inked up. I've got the scrapbook paper glued on there. Now we can attach that to our inside here. And I made it so that the file folder of the belly band fits perfectly on the scrapbook paper mat. So top and bottom, okay? Now I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. We could measure it. It's pretty easy, and figure out where our center is. So it's 8 inches. So we've got 4 inches either side. So our center point is right about here. And you can draw a line if you want. And then that's, you know, I'll lay glue. I'll lay glue at the top and at the bottom, and then in that center line. It makes your belly band, even if, you know, I mean, it just makes it a little more secure. I feel like if you just put glue top and bottom, you have to put really big things in the belly band, or they just kind of flop around. And, you know, no one wants floppy ephemera, right? I don't. Yes, okay. And then make sure you can see. Just gonna line that up. And it should, yep, line up with that scrapbook paper right in the middle. Now I'm giving you measurements, only, you know, only for reference. You can make this as big or as small as you want to, and you don't have to, you know, I mean, you can do whatever you want on the inside. You can do pockets, you can do, you know, you could do all pockets on every page. You could do tuck spots, you could do belly bands, you can do, like on the other side here, I'm gonna do a little side pocket. You know, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but I just thought you might want to see. I know I had a couple people ask, and then, you know, I thought, well, you might want to see how I did it, and it might just inspire you to make your own. If you want to make it exactly like mine, that's totally cool, but you don't have to. All right, so now on this side, it gets a little more tricky or a little more complicated because I made a little flip out piece. Now, I did it a tad different in my design team project, but I'm going to show you this way because I think it will be much easier than the way I did it before. Does that make sense? Plus, I think it's similar. It doesn't really matter because it's the way I'm going to show you because I just think it would be better. So I have a piece of scrapbook paper that I cut to 10 inches long, and let's see, about 7 3/4 inches tall, okay? And I folded it in half, and it is, if you're using your own measurements, you just want it to be smaller than this page by, you know, a little bit. Definitely smaller width-wise. It doesn't have to be smaller height-wise, but width-wise, you want to make sure it's not going to get in the way when you fold this, okay? And so I have that piece, and then I made a hinge piece out of the leftover file folder, and it is 1.5 inches wide by, I think right now it's 7 3/4 tall. It's the same height as this piece of paper, about, it's a little less. But I'm probably going to end up cutting that down. So first what I'm going to do is I want to scallop punch all of my corners. I'm going to do that first. And then we can get a better idea of how large or how tall our hinge piece needs to be. If you're not rounding your corners or you're not punching your corners, that's totally cool. You don't have to. All right, so now we have this piece, and I'm gonna look and see, I'm gonna tuck my hinge piece in here, and I don't want to be able to see any of the file folder, right? So I need to cut that down to, so that it fits in this area. And that area is about 7 inches. So I need to cut this down to 7 inches, and you can't see what I'm doing. So I'm just using my mat as a ruler. Each one of these blocks is a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna mark where 7 inches is, and I'm just gonna cut it. I'm not gonna do anything fancy. I'm just gonna cut it off so that it will definitely fit inside here without showing when this is closed up. Okay, because I'm gonna glue this together eventually. All right, I'm also, you don't have to, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and miter these corners a bit. Now, only one side of this is gonna, or only one of the strips is gonna show, because one is gonna be glued inside our little flip out, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I wanna make sure that I'm just gonna go ahead and ink both of these, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I went ahead and inked all around the outside, and because I'm gonna be gluing it together, I went ahead and just inked around, very rudimentary, I'm not using that word. Oh my gosh. It sounded right in my head. Just kind of roughly, that's a better word, around the inside. So you don't see, I have this like phobia of white paper, apparently. I can't stand to see white paper. So I took care of that situation. All right, then let's see, this is our hinge piece. And I have to decide which way it needs to go. All right, so it needs to glue here, and then I'll glue this together, okay? And we will have a piece then that will glue to our inside, and then this will, it'll make more sense when I actually glue it together. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make you watch me because this can be a little bit confusing. So I'm just gonna add glue to this inside part, okay? And I'm going to attach that to the back part of this piece of paper. Now you want to make sure that you keep your crease outside. So what I do is while I'm pushing it down, I fold it and I make sure that that crease is free to fold and to lay nice and flat, if that makes sense. All right. Then I'm going to glue this whole thing shut. Now, I was thinking about this, and you could make this a pocket. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that because that seems like fun. So I'm going to add a little bit more ink here because if it's going to be a pocket, I don't want to accidentally see white. Oh my. Oh, and then I just got it all over. Let me clean that up. So I don't get stray ink. Don't want stray ink where we don't want it, right? All right, and I think what I'll even do is punch. I'll make a little thumb notch in the top here so that it's obvious that it's, you know what? Let me grab my 2-inch punch, just a second. Okay, I just grabbed my 2-inch circle punch here, and I am just going to take the slightest little bit and make sure it's kind of centered. I'm just going to take a tiny little bit out of the top of that. And then obviously we don't want white, so we need to ink that up. I have a problem, guys. All right, so then you won't, you'll have a nice inked background there. Okay, so because we're making this a pocket, we only need to add glue on the bottom and this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll speed it up so you don't have to watch that. Okay, so now we have a top loading pocket and a flip out. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach this to our page. And as you can see, since I have the scallop here and here, I am just trying to I'm gonna try and line that up so it looks pretty, do you see how the scallops are matching up? So you've got the scallop here and the scallop there, and I'm just gonna try and like line that up, if that makes sense. Hold on, wait, nope, back up. I did something wrong when I made the first one, and I want to avoid doing that again. So hold on a second. Okay, so we are eventually going to have a ribbon that will hold this down, and I did it after the fact last time, and it made a little bit of a problem for me. So let's go ahead and finish decorating this, and then we'll put that hole in, so it'll be easier that way. Okay, so for this particular piece here, we need a corner. So this is how it's going to go in our folder, right? So this piece will go here as like a side pocket. Okay, so let me go ahead and there's pages everywhere. Okay, so I scalloped just like the edge so it matches up. And yeah, that's all I did there. So it will line up, hopefully. Yep, it'll line up perfectly with that. And then this piece is cut a tad smaller, but I'm going to go ahead and scallop it as well. Again, just that outer side, whichever side you want to be the outer side. Okay, so it will lay just like that. Okay, and then I just cut a corner pocket for the back here, and then yeah, just like that. I just cut it kind of not freehand. I used my paper trimmer, but I just sliced a corner off of one of my offcuts, and I think, oh, I scalloped the corner so it will match up. Look at me. All right. So it will match up with that, and it's actually a tad long. Let me see if I can fix that. I mean, I know I can, but let's go ahead and do it. So I know I want this to be my top. I'm just going to make it a little bit less of I just want to take off some of this. So that should work. Let's see if that's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so that will line up there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ink and glue this mat down onto the file folder, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue my little corner tuck here. And then we'll glue our little side pocket on the other side. If you have made it this far in this video, congratulations. You will be a step ahead for my birthday giveaway, which actually will be this exact folder filled with some fun goodies and ephemera and some like actual vintage pieces. So, all right, so I will be having a giveaway, and the drawing will be on my actual birthday. And the reason that you are a step ahead is because I'm going to tell you the date of my birthday. I'll tell you my actual birthday. And in order to enter the giveaway, you're going to need to know that information. So you'll want to write this down somewhere, or just save this video to your watch later so you can come back to it when the time comes to give me the answer. Okay, so my birthday is February 9th. Okay, so keep that information somewhere handy, but don't, please, please, please don't put it in the comments below. Just keep it to yourself. You do not need to comment. Commenting on this video is not going to enter you, okay? I will be back in a future video to give the actual details on how to enter the giveaway, all right? So you don't need to worry about entering right now. You just need to hold on to that information because that will be part of your entry. Does that make sense? So don't give it away. And you're a step ahead. So yay, yay you. All right, now we have all of that glued down and ready to go. Oh, look what I did while I was talking. I completely wrecked the whole pocket situation. Oh my goodness. Can I fix it? Can I fix it? I can maybe fix it. Okay. Okay. Don't talk while crafting, Emily. It never goes well. All right. So basically, I messed up. All right. So I'm just trying to get some of this glue off of here. All right. And what I need to do, I just need to use my circle punch and get rid of this little piece here. I'm hoping that my punch will do the work for me and I don't have to like hand cut that because I'm not good at that. All right, let's line that up. Yay. All right. So note to self, if you're going to make this a pocket, pay attention to your side pocket dimensions, because I did not. All right. I am just going to ink that there. Add some more ink back there. Now, I think, see how we don't have any glue right here? I'm going to use my art glitter glue because it's got the tiny nozzle, and I'm just going to add a little bit to kind of hold that down. All right. It wouldn't be one of my tutorials if I didn't make some sort of mistake, right? So, all right, there we go. We fixed it. No big deal. We still have a top pocket and we still have our side pocket. All right, now we're going to glue this down. So I am just going to add glue all over this side of the hinge piece. And like I said, I want to sort of line that up with this piece. And I have glue everywhere. All right, just make sure. Yeah, it's not exactly where I wanted it, but it's close. Okay. And I forgot to do the thing that I forgot to do last time. Oh my goodness. I wasn't going to glue this down yet. I needed to do something first. And look what I just did. I glued it down. Well, maybe it will work this time better and I won't. Okay, at least I know that oh my gosh. Okay. Whatever, it'll be fine. All right, so that is glued down. Now, what I need to do is I need to add a hole and an eyelet here so that I can tie this closed, okay? And this is where I made my mistake last time. So I'm going to try not to do it this time. I'm hoping, yeah, that I will be better at this. So I'm going to measure, I'm going to figure out where the center is here. Okay, so this is about the center, and I'm going to go in. It's about there. Oh, that's like not going to work. All right, I'm gonna mark, make a little mark there. All right, now this is where it sort of went horribly wrong last time, but I mean, I was able to fix it. It wasn't a big deal. Like, Lisa, you won't even be able to tell what I did. Well, you might, but you know. I gotta make sure this is set to hole. All right, so I'm gonna do an 1/8 of an inch hole, and I am going to attempt to not poke the hole through anything, but you're not gonna be able to see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. It's very, very hard to line this thing up. And I think that's good enough. All right, so I have my hole and I didn't make a mess. Yay! Where's my eyelet? Okay, so I have my eyelets. I'm gonna pop that in there, switch this to eyelet, and see if I can get this lined up. Yep. All right. Hopefully, nope. See, this would be much easier to do if you did it before you glued your hinge down. It would just be much easier. Okay, there we go. All right, but no big deal. I made it work. We're good. All right. So technically, if you want to do this, do it before you glue this down. Okay, that makes sense, right? All right, now we're in the final stretches. On the inside here, I made a little booklet, pad of paper situation. And I topped it with a doily. Now this is much wider. That's okay. All right, so basically I just have a bunch of pieces of paper that I cut down from scraps that Dee Dee, thank you Dee Dee, that Dee Dee sent me. And they're not wanting to line up, of course, you know. All right, and then I just folded this doily over the top, like so, and I used my tiny attacher and just added a couple staples to hold that together. And then that will go here, hidden behind this flap, okay? So I just added glue right to the top of the back of it. Like so. Just laid my arm in the glue. That's nice. And I just want it to basically fit within that hinge space, so I know that it will be covered by my flap. So here is pretty good, I think. Can't really see what I'm doing. Let me move it here so I can see better. And then I'm just going to make sure that I don't have a bunch of glue. Oops. All right, now when I decorate this, I'll cover up those staples so you won't be able to see them. But that will be hidden. Well, it should be hidden. It needs to move over a little bit more. All right. It'll be hidden behind here. Now, this is where our little eyelet comes in. I'm gonna use, I think I'm just gonna use string this time. No, I'll go ahead and use a ribbon. I used a ribbon last time, so I'll use a ribbon this time. Let me find something that will work with this. Let's do this stuff. And this is just like a sheer sort of peachy color. And what I did was I ran the ribbon through the eyelet like so, and then I didn't even glue it down. I just let it sit behind the pad of paper like that. And then when you close this, you can even it up, obviously, here. So we have the same, you know, similar amount on both sides, right? And then you can just tie that into a bow. Again, me tying bows is rather humorous, I'm sure. All right, and then just trim this down a bit. All right, there. And then that will kind of hold that in place for the most part. I don't know. Okay. All right, so that's done. Now we can turn this over. This is still too much. Hold on. All right, if we flip this page now, okay, we have this whole back. And what I'm going to add there is a Tim Holtz stitch pocket now, or slot pocket, whatever you want to call it. If you don't have this die, don't worry. You can make this yourself. You don't need to have the fancy die or anything. I, for the life of me, cannot remember Angelica. Oh, goodness gracious. Menzel, I think is her last name. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. My brain just completely blanked. I will link in the description box her video on how she makes these slot pockets without a die. Okay. And then you don't, you know, so that way you don't have to have anything special and you can still get the same sort of effect. Okay. So I will link that in the description box. Make sure you check that out. Okay, well, apparently my camera on my phone has a limit. Even though this video won't be that long, I was almost to 2 hours of recording. I'm going to edit out a whole lot of that, but my camera just stopped. And luckily, I think I noticed it fairly quickly, so I don't think you missed anything. Basically, I just glued down the little slot pocket here, and I also came up with, I knew the camera was off, so I just went ahead and did this, but basically that's it for the folder. So it is finished except for decorating and filling it up. I went ahead and decided that I would do like a slide-on closure. So this was a piece of crochet trim that came off of a shirt that started out life white. And then when I no longer, you know, wanted the shirt, I cut it off and tea-dyed it after I washed it, of course. So I just had this strip and I went ahead and sewed a really horrible looking, you know, just straight stitch to hold it together where I wanted it. And then I'm going to use this really pretty flower and I'm going to glue that on there, and then it will slide on and hold this closed. I thought that would be really cute. So I'll go ahead and do that while I'm kind of finishing up, because I'm pretty much done with this video. I just wanted to remind you about, you know, remember that thing that I told you, you know, a little while ago in the video, because that will come into play here really soon. And also, I will be back on Friday, this coming Friday, which is the 31st of January, with another live stream. And I think it's going to be similar to last week's because I acquired some new estate sale items, and I thought I would share them with you. My live streams usually are all about chatting and laughing and having a really good time. So I don't want to plan anything too serious because then I can't talk and laugh and chat along with you. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I will decorate this and fill it up, you know, on my own. And then it will be my birthday giveaway prize. All right, guys. All right. So yeah, please come by on Friday. I think I'm going to do 10 o'clock again, Eastern Standard Time. That worked really well for me. I know that doesn't work for everyone, and I'm really sorry. I will in the future do some later in the day, but for this week, 10 o'clock is going to work for me with my schedule. So that's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the US. And yeah, we'll just chat and have fun. And I'll show you the cool things that I got at my estate sale auction. And I don't know, maybe something else if I come up with something between now and then. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope that this tutorial was at the very least inspiring. And, you know, I hope that it gave you some ideas of things that you can do to make your own. Because you can, you know, there are lots of variations on this theme. And you can go crazy with it, I am sure. All right, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.